Okay, good morning. Today is Thursday, the 14th day of Kislev. It is a good Yom Tov. Today is the anniversary of the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin. As the Rebbe said, this is the day that connected me to you and you to me. Of course, the day that the Rebbe married the Rebbetzin, which was the daughter of the Frierdiker Rebbe. And we connect to the Rebbe how? Through learning the teachings of the Rebbe, to following the Rebbe's guidance. And that's what we do over here today also, learning the Tanya, the daily Tanya. And we are holding in the sixth essay of the last part of Tanya. We're getting closer to the end of Tanya. We're going to, God willing, to have the siyum, the conclusion of the Tanya next week. And we'll start the Tanya once again. So this is a perfect opportunity to invite everyone to spread the word about this daily shir, to learn the Tanya, which gives us so much. And let's begin with tzedakah again. Kedei tzedakah, shemekareves es hageula. So today in this essay, what we're going to learn today, the sixth essay, the Alter Rebbe talks about the real meaning of Torah. Because we discussed in the last few essays, the Alter Rebbe discussed about what the mitzvahs, what the Torah accomplishes, both in refining the world and in bringing down the godly flow into this world. And in this essay, the Alter Rebbe goes on to say that there is a much, much deeper level of Torah. The level of Torah which completely transcends the world. And he begins this by talking about what it says about King David. The Gemara says, King David, he referred to the Torah as Zmiros. There's in the book of Tehillim, chapter 119, it says, Zmiros ayu li chokecha bebeis megurei. The Torah, he says, your laws were my songs. And in the house of Beis Megura, in the house where I was fearful. So what King David is saying, the Torah, he was singing the Torah. The Torah was considered a song for him. In the house, in the places, in the times that he was fearful from his enemies. And the Gemara says that King David was punished for that. He was punished for calling the Torah the songs. What was the punishment? We know the story with the wars that the Jews have with the Philistines. They took away the Holy Ark, and they were punished for that. And ultimately, it went from one place to another place. They wanted to get rid of it. They realized that this is not something you can play with. And finally, they gave it back to the Jewish people. And King David came, and he ordered and instructed to put the ark on the wagon and to carry it back to its place. And there was one individual by the name Uzzah. He saw that the ark was about to fall off the wagon. So he reached out to catch the ark, the holy ark, and he died on the spot. And David realized this is a terrible, terrible thing. And he realized something is wrong. And Hashem told him that this was a punishment, that he forgot. The punishment was that he forgot the very simple law that every child knows. It says in the Torah that all of the things from the holy ark, from the holy temple, should be carried in the wagons, except for the ark. The ark needs to be carried on the shoulders. Yeah, there's long sticks with the Kohanim, the priest, with the Bnei Kahas, the Levim. They would carry the ark on the shoulders. and he forgot, and he put him on the wagon. Why was he punished for this? Why was he punished? What was he punished for? He was punished for the fact that he called the Torah Zmiros, a song. So the Alter Rebbe here in this essay is going to explain, number one, what does it mean when we refer to the Torah song? What does it mean? What did King David mean when he said Zmiros Elohecha? The Torah was the song. Number two, he's going to explain what's wrong with calling the Torah song. And finally, he's going to explain why was he punished in that way? What's the connection between the mistake of calling the Torah Zmiros and the punishment that he forgot about the law about carrying the ark? So number one, the Alter Rebbe is going to explain what does it mean that the Torah is referred to as songs. Let's look inside. Says the Alter Rebbe. So David Zmiros Kores L'Ruchulu. David, you call them songs. You refer to the Torah as songs. For that, King David was punished. So the Alter Rebbe begins. First of all, we need to understand what exactly does it mean that the Torah is considered songs. Says Alter Rebbe, Hinei beZoyar shvacha de'iraiser enenachulu. In the Zohar, we find the expression that the praise of Torah and its song. The Torah is a hymn and a song to God. So number one, we do find that the Zohar refers to the Torah as song. So first of all, we need to understand what exactly does it mean. How exactly is the Torah considered a song and a praise to Hashem? So that's question number one. Let us understand what is the praise of God when a particular object is forbidden or permitted. You learn the Torah. What do you learn? You learn about the laws. This is permissible, this is forbidden. And how exactly is this considered a song of God? It's just laws. Says the Alter Rebbe, al derech magodlu ma'asecha Hashem ha'id'oka machshav. A similar concept is implicit in the verse. How great are your works, O God? Your thoughts are very deep. So when you read this verse, which comes also from the Psalm, the Torah, King David says, "Magodlu ma'asecha Hashem." How great are your actions, and how deep are your thoughts? So the question is, number one, what comes first, the thoughts or the actions? The thoughts comes first. So you should say, how deep are your thoughts, and how great are your actions? Why does it say the other way around? So the Alter Rebbe is going to explain now that what this verse is saying, that when we focus and we see the greatness, all the great, the multiple actions, the deeds of God, we then come to realize how more deep is God's thoughts. So that's what he's going to explain. As is known that all of the worlds, the exalted and the lowly, are dependent on the meticulous performance of a single mitzvah. A single mitzvah, the way we perform the mitzvah. There's so many details in every mitzvah. I get sometimes people tell me, oh, it's so difficult, these laws, to understand the laws of let's say, laws of saying a bracha. It's not so simple. What bracha comes first? What bracha comes second? All the laws, there's the laws about the tefillin, so many details. And the Alter Rebbe explains that the entire world, all of the worlds, the spiritual and the physical worlds, they all depend on the meticulous performance of one mitzvah. And he brings an example. Derech mashal. Im hakorban kosher, nase yichud elyon ve'olim kol ha'olamis lekabel chayusam v'shifam. For example, if an altar offering is valid, then a supernal union in the Sephiris is affected. What does it mean? You bring an offering in the Holy Temple. The Holy Temple, the offering was brought with an animal, with all four elements. You had the domim tzameach chaim medaber, actually. You had the domim, the inanimate objects. Every offering was brought with salt. They had the tzameach, the flower that grows. And you had the chai, the animal that was offered. And you had the medaber, the human, that when he brought the offering, he gave himself. The self-sacrifice, the self-devotion, the complete submission to Hashem. So an offering that was brought on the altar, an offering that is done properly, right, the way with all the details, the way God prescribed in the Torah, when you do it right, then what it does, it elevates the entire world. And all of the spiritual world as well and it causes a union, what he calls it, in the supernal spheres, in the supernal levels, the spiritual levels, the spiritual attributes. And that in turn brings much flow and energy and vitality to all of the worlds, this physical world and the spiritual world, by one mitzvah. That's what it says. For example, if an altar offering is valid, if an altar offering is valid, then a supernal union, the spheres is affected, and all of the worlds are elevated to receive the life force and spiritual sustenance. The imshina, however, if the celebrant altered the precise requirements of the law, שקיבל אדם בשמאל דרך משל, או שלא בכלי שורש, kosher, או שורש החציצה. If, for example, he received the blood of the offering with his left hand, supposed to do it with the right hand, he did it with the left hand, or in an invalid vessel. The vessel has to be a kosher vessel. Or if there was a separation, meaning you hold the vessel with a glove. There was a separation between your body and the vessel. Or if you work on the temple, the Cohens, they would go barefoot. They're supposed to have the feet touch the ground of the holy temple. So if he didn't touch, if there was a separation, what happens then? He says, everything that was supposed to happen is canceled. They are nullified. They're not working. It says, then all of the elevations of the worlds that would have been accomplished through the sacrifice, they are nullified, as is the life force and sustenance that he would have received from the source of life, the Ein Sof, blessed be he. So that's one example what he says. One mitzvah. When you do the proper way, you bring the offering, what it does, it elevates the worlds and it brings sustenance to the worlds. And the same thing is in other mitzvahs. Another example that Alter Rebbe brings is the example of the mitzvah of tefillin. We always say that tefillin, yes, you have to make sure you get a kosher tefillin. And say, what's the big difference? Come on, I buy a pair of tefillin, good, more or less, it's fine, it's good, kosher enough for me. I'm not such a religious Jew. No, the tefillin that you do, that you wear, when it's written with the proper way, with every detail, and what it does, when you put on this tefillin, it elevates elevates you and the entire world into the higher places, and it brings about a new life and energy to the person and to the people around them and to the world. So that's why we take the tefillin, we make sure they're kosher, we give them to check from time to time to make sure nothing is missed or erased or anything happened to the tefillin. Because one small detail in a mitzvah has such a tremendous effect on the entire world. That's what he says. V'chen betfilin ksheros mizgalin moichim elyonim dezeirampim v'nukva sheim moker achaim l'chol oilemes. So too, through the use of valid tefillin, there is revealed the supernal intellect of zeirampim and nukva, meaning Zoh and Malchus of Atzilus. These are different levels of the highest world of Atzilus are revealed, the source of life for all the worlds. Yet, through the omission of one required detail, they are invalidated and the intellect departs. It's like you didn't put on tefillin. The same applies to the detailed requirements of the prohibitive commandments. A single detail affects all the worlds. That's why the Alter Rebbe says, "V'hilkach," and therefore, "Hamizboinen magodlo maaseh Hashem sheberiboy oilamis v'chol tzavam." Let one therefore ponder how great are the works of God in the multiplicity of worlds and all their hosts. When you focus and you ponder upon the multiple creations of the entire world, Magodlu ma'asecha, how great is your deeds and your actions. And how all of these are literally null relative to any one of the specific requirements of the Torah. Means that there in missing one part in the fulfillment of the Torah, it can affect the entire world. And that is the Torah, is the depth of the thoughts of Hashem. Shehu oimek machshava elyon v'chachmas yisbarach. For it is the profundity of the supreme thought and the divine wisdom. Asher bedigdo kal oilim kol oilam esamekablim chayusam v'shifam. For through the observance of one minor specification, all the worlds ascend and receive their life force and spiritual sustenance. Or the reverse, God forbid. In the case of a detailed requirement of a prohibitory commandments, transgressions brings about, God forbid, a descent in all of the worlds. Just like the positive commandment brings light, that the negative commandments, the prohibitions, bring a descent in the world, causes, God forbid, to the energy to go to the wrong places. The Alter Rebbe continues, from this, we may ponder the prodigious profundity of God's thought, which is boundless and endless. And which infinitely transcends the vitality of all of the worlds. You realize that one thought of the Torah, the depth of the Torah affects the entire world. That's so much deeper and higher than this. For the entire vivifying power issues from a minor requirement of God's thought. This requirement being drawn from its source, namely the depth of God's thought that specified it. Analogously, man's hair issues from his brain. So the halachas issued from God's thoughts. As is known from the Tikkunei Zohar and the Hidre Rabbah. This was the delight of King David. May he rest in peace. Shoya mezamer umeranen lesameach libay be'esek haTorah be'is tzarasei. As he sang to gladden his heart in his Torah study during his time of anguish. He was overjoyed when he contemplated how the entire world is of no account relative to one minor specific detail of the Torah. So when he was going through the anguish, sufferings, that running away from the different people, and he was focusing and thinking, wait a second, what is this? It's nothing. World, worries. I have the Torah. One detail when I study Torah, when I learn the Torah, when I focus on the Torah, it's one detail of the Torah affects the entire world. That brought joy to his heart. Not only that, as the Tzemach Tzedek explains also, the word zmiros, which means singing, comes also from the word lezamer aritzim, which means the cutting off. The word of zmirot means singing, and also means cutting. That through his studies, he was able also to eliminate his enemies. So that was, the Alter Rebbe explains here, first of all, what does it mean that the Torah is the singing of Hashem? We ask, what does it mean that the songs of Hashem? Yes, that is the praise of Hashem. All these details, when you do a simple mitzvah, sometimes we don't understand, I'm going to miss this mitzvah, big deal. It's like a computer program. You have so much code written in to run the whole program. What if you miss one dot, one tiny little dot? What's the big deal? One tiny little dot, the whole program crashes. Hashem's will is to be done, that the mitzvah should be done exactly that way, in the way of Hashem, the way Hashem understands. And this is the praise of Hashem, that the Torah shows the greatness of Hashem, how the whole entire world is nothing compared to one detail in the Torah. So, and tomorrow we're going to learn, Alter Rebbe is going to continue, what's wrong with calling it songs. So stay tuned. Tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem, we shall continue. Have a wonderful day.